I want to play my Gibson Les Paul Jr. I'm going to find out if this thing's any good. This video isn't like other videos out there, you know, where they talk for 7.5 minutes and then they only play the guitar for like a minute and a half. There's going to be some yammering. We're going to try to save it to the end. There's a whole heck of a lot of playing here along with some comparisons. And as always, the signal chain is listed in the description down below. There's also some chapter markers, so if you want to jump around, you can do that. But enough talking, let's get after it. So you can't do a review on YouTube without talking about the specs, right? So I'm going to try and do that quickly, and then we'll get back to more sound samples. Starting off, we have a glossed, nitro-finished slab mahogany body. What does slab mahogany body mean? It's a slab of mahogany without a carved maple top like other Les Pauls. We then have a 50s club-style baseball neck with an unbound rosewood fretboard that has the dot inlays. On the front of the headstock is where you're going to see the inlaid Gibson and Les Paul Jr. logos. And on the back of the headstock is where you're going to find the oval kidney bean style Gibson Vintage Deluxe Clouson style tuners. They are not vintage sizing. So if you want to change these to any other type of tuner that's modern sizing, you don't have to drill the holes a little or, you know, change the hole size. These are the exact same tuners, just with different buttons than the Gibson Vintage Deluxe tuners with the keystones. We then have two Gibson branded CTS potentiometers and a hand soldered orange drop capacitor. So we have a master volume and a master tone. And that controls the single dog-eared P90. Then as far as the bridge, we have the non-compensated wraparound bridge. That's enough of the specs. Here's 5 more sound samples. end up saying this in every single one of these review type videos, and that is doing the next portion to appease the internet. It is beneficial, but I like saying this because it's mildly funny to me and nobody else, trying to prevent tears from forming themselves into comments. So we're going to play this clean. And for the tone, we're going to start out with it on stun, so max 10, then we're going to move it to 5, and then we're going to turn it all the way down. I've always personally found a little more benefit, this is personally, so to me, hearing how the pickup reacts to a little bit of light drive. So here's that. And once again, we do have a master volume, master tone. They are hand-wired with a orange drop capacitor, and they're Gibson branded CTS potentiometers. They're the audio taper ones. So let's go ahead and wiggle some knobs. Naturally, you might be curious on what the Les Paul Jr. sounds like against the SG Jr. Unfortunately, they discontinued this, and this is freaking awesome. So what I want to do here is just a very quick comparison between both of them. I'm going to keep the video just pretty simple. So usually I change around the volume knob along with the tone knob. I'm not going to do that. So all these comparisons here are just going to be tone on stun, and then tone on 5, and then tone all the way down. right, so the next natural kind of curiosity that you might have would be the Gibson Les Paul Jr. against the Gibson Les Paul Special. There's definitely some weight differences here. This is a little bit heavier. Otherwise, all of the specs are the same aside from, an extra pickup and the controls for it, a bound rosewood fretboard, and the Gibson logo is inlaid rather than silk screened. So we'll do a simple comparison. I'll still do the stun 5 and then basically off. But here I'm going to use all 3 pickup positions. And then finally, the most natural kind of comparison here when it comes to P90s, Gibson Les Paul Special against a Gibson Les Paul with humbuckers. This is a Gibson Les Paul R8, so a 1958 VOS Les Paul standard. It has the custom buckers in it, so at least you get to hear, a spanky P90 against basically a proper recreation of a patent applied for pickup. So same thing. Here's a comparison. All right, so those are all the different sound samples and comparisons, and we talked about the specs and all that stuff. So at this point, you have enough information to figure whether you think this is a good guitar or not. You know, at least sound-wise from my hands. And weird little brain. So at this point, I'd like to talk about whether or not I think this is a good guitar and give my opinion on it, because realistically, sound is only 10% of the equation for whether a guitar is good or not, because you can pay more money to make your guitar sound better. You can change components, whatever. But it's really hard to do that to change the feel of the guitar completely. So let's talk about that. So yes, I think this is a good guitar. I think this is a fantastic guitar, and you will learn a whole heck of a lot from owning a Junior, because once you are down to one pickup and you want to change sounds, you've been one of those guys who never messes with the volume or the tone controls, you're going to be forced to do that. And there's going to be times when you are going to think this is way better than a 2-pickup guitar. You might not ever get out of that, but there's a lot of times because of Juniors, you're going to think that this is better than a 2-pickup guitar. Just because you're going to be intimately working with this to get the sounds that you want, and then once you figure things out, you actually carry forward what you've learned the other guitars, and it's all because of this guy right here. So as far as playability here, I'm a big fan of the baseball bat neck, or the club neck as they call it. It's just a little thicker, but quite a bit if you compare it to like a slim taper neck. But it just, I feel at home when I'm playing on a club neck. It's just fantastic. Find that I get into the leads a little more, and a lot of people find there's less hand fatigue with the club style necks. There's a lot of people who think the other way with like slim taper or blade style necks or whatever you want to call them. But yeah, it's just, I just find that the 50s baseball neck is just the best neck that they have. Playing rhythms on this, because of the neck and because of the body itself, is an absolute joy. And again, when you're down to one pickup, you're fighting alongside this guitar to get the sounds that you want. May take a little bit. Once you figure it out, absolute joy. And the same thing comes for leads. There's just something about the spank of a P90, especially a dog ear P90 that's a little more body, I guess you would say, or connected to the body, a lot of people feel. You can just get some crazy overdriven tones. And again, because you're down to one pickup, you do tend to use that volume and tone a little more. That gives you such more control over the sound that you're getting. And while you're playing leads, you gotta get used to, you know, using your pinky or whatever, sliding around just to move things up, to just add a little more emphasis on some notes when you're playing leads. Another thing of note here is we have the non-compensated wraparound tailpiece. I much prefer this over the SG's lightning bar for the SG Junior and the SG Special. There's nothing wrong with the lightning bar, but when you're playing leads, if you're doing a lot of bending and stuff like that, if it slides, if the string slides on the bridge, it's not a big deal with the non-compensated. With the lightning bar, you hear and feel, like if you're playing it acoustically is really when you hear it, but you have that little bit of a feeling of like an extra, like it's rubbing against the bridge. Sometimes. I've been told that I'm absolutely crazy for thinking that, because a lot of people that do use the lightning bar say they've never had that happen. I've had it happen a few times, but sometimes I get a little nuts with bending. One other thing of note here, because this does not have a neck pickup, at first it may look a little weird to you because there's just a giant gap where the where the neck pickup would be, and it looks a little odd at first because, you know, you got to wade like a huge dive down there right after the neck. You get used to that rather quickly, and again, this is just you are going to learn so much from a junior. But that is all I do have to say about this guitar. Yes, it is fantastic. It's great. It's an awesome guitar. You'll learn a whole bunch from it. That's all I gotta say. Thanks for watching.